The contents of this program may not necessarily represent the views of Ummah Channel.
Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to this evening's episode of Know Your Rights, the live legal program through which we at Ummah aim to increase your awareness and knowledge of your rights. Those of you who tune into our programs regularly will recognize me. I'm a solicitor by profession, your host for this program. My name's Fari Al-Atcha, although I'm more commonly known to everyone as Fari. I'm also extremely pleased to say that I have with me a good friend and an experienced immigration solicitor. I have with me Tahir Ansari of Ansari Law Solicitors of Manchester. Tahir, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Viewers, thank you very much for joining me as well. That takes me to the topic of this evening's program. Most of you will be aware of the concept of marriages are made in heaven. Now, irrespective of which religion or culture, most people in this world seem to believe that marriages are made in heaven, they're preordained, they're due to fate. But however you believe these marriages take place, we must remember that visas are issued on earth. And in order to secure a visa, and I'm sure Tahir will agree, you have to follow lengthy procedures, you have to complete application forms, do a lot of preparation and complete a lot of documents. So this seems to be a general opinion amongst most people around the world that marriages are made in heaven. And for our Muslim viewers, let me remind you that in chapter 78 verse 8 of the Quran, it actually says وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, through which Allah Pak himself has stated that he has created as humans as in pairs. Viewers, हमेशा की तरह मैं उर्दू में प्रोग्राम का आगाज़ करती चलूँ. आप लोग मुझे पहचानते हैं, मैं पेशे से वकील हूँ, आपकी मेज़बान हूँ इस प्रोग्राम में. नाम मेरा फरियाल अच्छा है, लोग हालांकि ज़्यादा लोग मुझे फ़री के नाम से जानते हैं. ये मेरी खुशकिस्मती है कि आज मेरे साथ एक काबिल इमिग्रेशन सॉलिसिटर अच्छे दोस्त भी हैं. ताहिर अंसारी मेरे साथ हैं. और चलो आज की टॉपिक की तरफ चलते हैं. अक्सर दुनिया में लोग ये मानते हैं कि जोड़ियाँ जो होती हैं वो आसमानों में बनती है, यानी नसीब से बनती हैं. तो जो जिनकी शादी होती है, जिनकी जोड़ियाँ बनती है, वो सोचते हैं कि ये आसमान में बनी चीज़ है, तकदीर से नसीब से बनी चीज़ है. और हमारे मुसलमान व्यूअर्स तो ये जानते हैं कि कुरान शरीफ में चैप्टर 78 वर्स 8 में लिखा हुआ है वखलकनाकुम अज़वाजा, जहाँ के अल्लाह पाक ने खुद कहा है कि हमने आपको जोड़ियों में बनाया है. लेकिन ये तो चलो लोग या आप माने या ना माने कि जोड़ियाँ आसमान में बनती है, ये आपकी सोच है. लेकिन ज़िंदगी की एक हकीकत है कि वीज़ा एप्लीकेशंस जो होते हैं वो दुनिया में होते हैं, जिसके लिए काफ़ी तैयारी भी करनी पड़ती है. एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म्स तैयार करने पड़ते हैं, डॉक्यूमेंट्स, और महीने लग जाते हैं. जो एप्लीकेशन सही तरीके से तैयार करे तो आई एम श्योर ताहिर एग्री करेंगे, उनकी एप्लीकेशंस कामयाब होती है. जिनकी एप्लीकेशन नहीं कामयाब होती है वो बेचारे अपील्स में फंसे रहते हैं और एक वकील से दूसरे वकील के पास जाते रहते हैं. सो बेहतर है कि आप कोई भी एप्लीकेशन करें तो पहले से ही वकील का मशवरा सही तरीके से ले लें, सही तैयारी करें. ये प्रोग्राम लाइव है. इस वक्त आपको स्क्रीन पर हमारा नंबर नज़र आता है, तो बेशक आप हमें कमेंट्स और सवालों के साथ ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. जो अगर आप लेट देखें ये प्रोग्राम तो ये रिपीट होता है 12 बजे थर्सडे, 4 बजे सैटरडे, और ये अभी लाइव स्ट्रीम हो रहा है फेसबुक पे और यूट्यूब पे. आप हमारी उम्मा चैनल के फेसबुक पे देखेंगे तो वैसे भी आपको ये बाद में भी ये वीडियो नज़र आएगा. Viewers, let me remind you, this is a live program. Our number appears on the screen. It would be a pleasure to have you join us with questions and comments, whether they're to do with spouse visas or any other aspect of law or immigration. This program is repeated at 12 o'clock on a Thursday, 4 o'clock on a Saturday, and for those of you who have people who wish to view this program who don't have Sky TV, it's live streamed on our Ummah channels, Facebook and YouTube, and you can watch the videos at a later stage if you've missed some of this. Now, quite often, and I know that over the years you and I have done programs about spouse visas. Now, whether it's us or many other people, wherever I've seen these programs, generally they seem to concentrate on the actual requirements. You know, the usual stuff: how much am I supposed to earn, how much am I supposed to have in savings, but nobody seems to concentrate on the actual procedure. So when we speak to people, and I'm sure you'll get this as well, I'll get people saying, well, where am I supposed to submit the application? Where do the documents go? How do you pay the fees? And nobody seems to cover this. Viewers, on that note, right, before I progress, I believe we have a caller on the line. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, walaikum salam.
Jin-
I'm calling from Birmingham.
Can I take your name,
And-
brother?
My name is Jangir,
Gajir? Okay.
right? And I want to ask about my immigration problems.
Okay.
Well, I've come to this country in 2006, right? And since 2006, I've been living in this country illegally.
Okay, which
I've
country,
no
which country
legal
did,
status.
where did you come from?
I've come from Pakistan.
Okay. Did you come with a visitor's visa or with no visa?
I came to this country with no visa.
Okay.
Right? I entered illegally, right?
Okay.
So I want to know, is there anything that I can do? Because I've been living in this country for too many years, and I was detained in 2017, and they kept me in detention center for about 6 months, right?
Okay.
And then after that, they released me on a bail. So,
Okay. So for you,
is there any chance?
yeah, brother, can I just ask you, for you, when you were released on bail, did you actually instruct any solicitors and submit an application?
Yes, we submitted the application that time, which was, I think from the court, my solicitor did something. We paid a lot of money to them. And
Okay.
it was in 2007. I don't even remember that. So since after that, they put me on signing, and I stopped going on the signing after that.
How often were you supposed to sign?
Sorry?
How often were you supposed to sign? Report?
Okay, I was every week.
Every week, but you stopped. When did you stop?
I stopped. I went to about 2-3 times, and then after that, I stopped doing it because I thought it's not worth going again. So I was told by other people that they might gonna detain you again. So I don't want to go through the problem that I was going through again. So I knew that because I had to spend a lot of money to come out from the detention center
Yeah.
that time.
Right, okay. Do you know what's happened to that application, the application that your lawyer submitted?
That application was definitely refused. After that, I received a letter from the Home Office after that.
When was that?
It was in 2017,
Okay, so it
later
was
on,
refused
like
in
in
2017.
nearly 2018,
Okay,
sometime. Yeah.
thank you for that. Ted, do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you for calling. Stay on the line. It may be because of the complexity of your matter and the fact that we're not able to ask you a lot of personal questions on air. It might be a good idea if you can leave your number with our control room, so we can speak to you after the program.
Right. Okay.
But
All
do,
right.
do keep watching the program. We'll be discussing your issue. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our caller arrived in the UK in 2006 from Pakistan with no visa. He was detained in 2017, at which stage he instructed legal representatives who submitted an application on his behalf, and on the basis of that application he was granted bail. He was required to report to the as per the Home Office every week, and he stopped doing that a few weeks after that. What would
I
you?
think he also mentioned that the application he
Has been
submitted
refused.
has also been refused.
It was
so
refused in late 2017, early 2018.
there was no right of appeal, presumably.
Yeah.
I think
We don't know if there was a right. We're assuming there's no right of an appeal, but obviously
assuming
we'd
that
have
there was
to-
no right of appeal,
Yes.
I think what he can do is better advice would be when we obviously take instruction from him in terms of
I'd like to look at
more
the refusal.
information
Yes.
for his personal
Yes.
circumstances
Yes.
as to if he has any family in the UK,
Yeah.
any friends here, what social network he has, these kind of things, and then establish whether
Has he established a relationship? Are there any
Yeah.
children from that relationship?
Yeah.
Whether
so many
if you've got a
questions that we need to
partner,
check
Has she
with
got
him,
children from
so
before?
I mean, it's not
It's-
good for us to ask him
These
personal
things
question on air.
yeah.
But if there is any possibility that we can possibly go back to the Home Office in terms of your previous application and ask them to give you right of appeal, or we can make a further submissions, or maybe a new application. It depends on your circumstances. Once we are able to get information from you, then obviously you need to make an application, or you need to be within the Home Office record that you are here and you have attempted or are attempting to regularize your immigration status, because more probably, as I always say, there could be an amnesty announced by the Home Office, and if your application or nothing is pending with the Home Office, you might not even benefit from that amnesty. So it's better to keep in touch with the Home Office, make an attempt to regularize your immigration status, contact the solicitor who practice and specialize in immigration law.
Can I stop you for a few minutes? I'm conscious we've got our second caller on the line who's been waiting for a while. We will go back to your question, our first caller, so do keep watching. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. What's your name?
Hi. My name's Khan, Kasa Khan.
Okay, how can we help?
Yes, my wife came, I got a visa basically. I was married and I got a spouse visa here. Yeah?
Okay, so you actually came from abroad on a spouse visa?
No.
Sorry.
I'm British here. I'm basically British. My wife came.
Your wife came from abroad on a spouse visa?
And she made a runner for. She lived in the UK for 6 months, 9 days, and she left home basically. Now
Okay.
she's claiming political asylum.
Okay, she's claiming asylum. Right, okay.
Yeah, what's happened? She made allegations I can't discuss on television. Very disgusting allegations and all that. What she made, she's trying to get she was trying to make domestic violence case on me, and then the domestic violence case failed. Basically, they let me go. They said it's no domestic violence.
Okay, so she initially, when she left you after 6 months,
and after what happened? She left after 6 months.
Yeah, and then she applied.
Yeah, and now she's got 1 year left. Next year, 2020. It's 2020 now. Next year is 2021. She's only got 1 year to basically the visa. So what's going to happen? She will, and then she's got a daughter. I brought 2 people in this country.
Okay, all right. So how old is your daughter?
Basically, the stepdaughter is 10 years old.
Oh, your daughter or your stepdaughter?
Yeah.
Is it your daughter or your stepdaughter?
Stepdaughter.
10 years old. Right. Are you still in touch with the stepdaughter?
No, I am not in touch. I legally divorced them and basically I deported them basically. I cancelled the visa and I deported.
Did you contact the Home Office to cancel the visa? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I went to lawyers basically and they cancelled it for me and we wrote some for the fraud department.
But subsequently she's submitted other applications.
She submitted other application, political asylum or human rights, I don't know what base. They're giving her £75.
Okay.
And they're giving her £225 rent, basically.
Right, okay. Do we have any more questions?
So I want to ask you, what, she legally can stay in this country or she will be out?
Well, what we'll go on to do is we'll go on to explain the domestic violence application that you're referring to. And we will also go on to explain the asylum application you're referring to, which will give you a better understanding of whether she will be able to stay here or not.
Okay, all right.
And do keep watching. If you feel that we haven't covered, obviously, if you feel that you need further explanation, feel free to call in, brother.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling and thank you for watching. I'm going to take 2 minutes to go back to the first caller because it is very important. As solicitors, we need to make sure that he is aware of the fact that he's currently legal. Things can be done if he instructs people like ourselves. We could look into the matter. This is the advice.
Sometimes things are very easily resolved.
Yes.
And there is a solution for that.
Yes.
But if you don't know, if you don't go to a solicitor, if you don't make any application, if you don't attempt to regularize your immigration status, then obviously it can be difficult. I always advise clients, do not stay in the UK illegally.
Yes.
If you have nothing outstanding, you should make an application to the Home Office.
Yes.
At least you are within their record.
Yes.
And if you don't want to make an application, then you should leave voluntarily.
Yes.
So living illegally is
it's
obviously...
not something we would condone.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would, on that note, the other thing I would add is he's been here from 2006. Right, before we go back to the first caller, let's take our third caller for this evening's programme. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, who's calling, please?
John.
All right, and how can we help you? Right, I think there's been a bit of a technical error there. But going back to the first caller, if you've been here since 2006, we're not in a position to sit on in a 1 hour programme on TV, as Tahir has explained, and discuss with you your finances, your personal life, if you've established relationships, what you've done since you've been here. It's a very long time. We'd have to sit down and talk to you about what you've done. I'm also conscious that you've submitted an application when you were detained in 2017. Quite often I find that when people are detained, they panic. They don't know which solicitor to go to. They go to the first one that's recommended or the first one that's available. They're not in a position, if they're detained, to give all that evidence. They're usually panicking. The application may or may not have been submitted sufficiently. If Tahir and I were looking at this matter, we would look to see whether that application was sufficient. Can something be added to that? But even after that, 3 more years have passed. So has anything else changed in your life that could lead to a further application? So please do leave your number with our control room. We will go back to our second caller's question about domestic violence and asylum, but we're going to move on to our next caller. Hello? Hello? Hi, Assalamu alaikum. How can we help you?
Hi, I'm just calling regarding to legalize my status in this country.
Okay, and your name is?
John.
Okay. So what is your current status?
I'm on immigration bail at the moment.
Okay. You're on, so if you're on immigration bail, that means you've got. If you're on immigration bail, you've got an application pending.
Well, I want to make an application soon because next month I'll be here for 20 years now, and
right.
I've got 2 young children and a partner.
Oh, okay. You've been here for 20 years.
Yeah, it will be 20 years next month. Yeah.
And how old are the children?
4 and 2.
4 and 2. And what nationality is your partner?
Kenyan.
She's Kenyan. Does she have a right to stay here?
Yeah, she's got. They have discretionary leave. She'll be having it from 2013.
She's got discretionary leave, yeah?
Yes.
How long is a discretionary leave valid for?
This is the 4th time now. It will be 2022.
Sorry, did you get that, Tahir?
I think it will be 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
But how long has your partner been here for?
How long?
How long has your partner been here for?
She's been here from 2003.
Oh, she's been here from 2003.
And what is the status of children here?
What is the status of the children? Are they
On discretionary leave as well?
Are they on
They're
discretion?
They're on the discretionary leave with the partner.
Okay.
It all expires in 2022.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's been given her first stretch of 2.5 years of discretionary leave.
She was given the first one in 2013.
2013.
Yes.
And in 2013, she was given her discretionary leave. Was that for a period of 2.5 years?
Yeah.
Was that for a period of 2.5 years?
Yes. Yes.
So subsequently she's extended that. Right. Okay.
Yeah, she's been extending it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just do we need any more information?
The children are. He said he's got
Discretionary
2 children.
leave.
No, the
The
children.
4 and 2.
2 children.
2 children.
And
4
he's
and 2.
his biological father.
John, can I just confirm the children are yours, aren't they?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
the father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you. Keep watching, and we'll be moving on to your question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for watching, John, and thank you for calling. Right, we're
Thank
going to take a step back, and I'm going to just remind people of the question for our second caller. He's a Kurdish national who's got a right to stay in the UK. He is married abroad, which is the topic of this evening's program, marrying abroad. He has called over a wife and her 10-year-old daughter, who is his stepdaughter. 6 months after coming into the UK, she's left him and applied for domestic violence on the basis of domestic violence. Now, just to remind our viewers that if you come to the UK as a spouse, unless you're living in that valid marriage, your visa is no longer valid if you leave your partner unless you fit into one of the other categories. And one of those categories is domestic violence. So if you've been a victim of domestic violence, you can submit an application on the basis that you've been a victim of domestic violence. Sadly, this, in my professional experience, has been one of the most abused categories, because quite often you'll find that a couple split up, and I'm sure you'll agree, Tahir, like quite often you'll find that a couple split up and somebody will go and see somebody else for advice, and they automatically recommend a domestic violence application. But in order to be successful in a domestic violence application, you've got to be able to substantiate your application. It's not just fair to say you've been a victim of domestic violence, you've got to be able to back it up with proof. And if you can't do that, that's when it fails. Now, I understand from Mr. Khan's conversation that his wife applied on the basis domestic violence. That application was refused. So she's subsequently gone on to apply for asylum. Now, we have no knowledge as to why she's applied for asylum or where her application's got to. But in the meanwhile, Mr. Khan has contacted the Home Office to say he no longer supports her application and her spouse visa is curtailed. For any of our viewers, if you are watching this program and you've supported the application of a husband or a wife or a fiance, they've arrived in the UK and they're not living with you, you are within your rights to report them to the Home Office with adequate details to explain that you're no longer supporting the application. It's then up to the Home Office whether they cancel their visa or not. Now, Tahir, let's throw some light on the asylum application. What are your thoughts on that?
I think in terms of what the gentleman was saying, in terms of what he can do, I think what he could have done, I think he's done it.
Yes.
He has reported that the marriage is no longer subsisting. He has reported that he's not supporting the spouse anymore. And I think he did tell that that he's already divorced as well, legally.
And I'm not sure he said he was divorced legally, but he's informed them he's no longer with her.
Yeah. But I'm sure he probably said that he's divorced as well.
Yeah.
So whatever he could actually do, he has done on his part.
Yes.
This is an unfortunate situation because you can't control someone's removal or deportation from the UK.
No.
You can't send someone back.
No.
Personally, since you tell the Home Office that you're no longer with the person, although you sponsor them,
yes,
although you bring them to the UK as your partner or spouse, but you cannot control their removal or deportation.
And it's not as simple as though that you write to the Home Office and they've got the letter through in the post by Monday and there's going to be an officer knocking on that person's door. It's not as simple as that.
It doesn't work like that. But as long as you have informed, you have done your part, now the matter is between, you're no longer party to this application.
Yes.
So they may not even discuss anything with you. What are they doing with her? If she has submitted an application on asylum or domestic violence or any humanitarian application, protection application, she has done, obviously within her right, she has right to make an application. But how successful application would be, that depends on Home Office.
It also depends
they
on
will
the
consider all the circumstances, the time of the application, why she's making this application. He also mentioned that there was a domestic violence allegation, but I don't think there was any police charges.
No. And from what I understand, he seems to think that was refused, so she's moved on to asylum.
So I think he has done whatever he could have,
yes.
But now the matter is between her and Home Office. If she go through all the appeal process and applications, and he exhausts all the appeal remedies, then she is likely to be removed from here. But now that she's got a child here as well, so Home Office has to be careful when they're making decision on her application, because they have to, under Section 55, they have to consider child's best interest as well. So they will look into all these things, but unfortunately there's nothing more you can do on this application. You have done whatever you could. She will remain in the UK until Home Office make a decision on her application. If she has any appeal right, she will exercise her appeal right and she'll go to court. And if all the appeal rights are exhausted, only then she can be removed from the UK. If she's got nothing left to pursue further, then she will be removed. But as long as you have done your part, you've told the Home Office, that's matter now concluded between you and her. It's now between Home Office and your ex-partner. and then they will make a decision on that.
Thank you for that. Mr. Khan, so for those viewers who are wondering what an asylum application is, an asylum application is where somebody comes to the UK or is in the UK and submits an application stating that their life is in danger, they fear for their safety on the basis of either their political, religious or social involvements in a different country. And that danger is not from a private individual, it's from an agent of the state. That could be the army, the police, somebody in power. Now, Mr. Khan, basically, we have no control as to explain to you how successful your wife's application will be. It will depend on a number of things. It will depend on what her circumstances were. I mean, was she in danger before she came to the UK? Would she be in danger if she went back to where she's come from? Also, how well that application's been prepared and how well she can answer her questions and substantiate her claim in an interview. So it would all depend on how the Home Office take the view. I mean, if it's a case that she's married you to flee her country of origin because she was in danger there, maybe that's something that she will put forward, but it all depends. But rest assured, if you're thinking that she's used you as a passage to the UK, neither a domestic violence application nor an asylum application is an easy game in this country. It is very, very difficult to succeed in those applications, and you would have to put forward a whole extense of proof. Now, moving on to our third caller, John. John's situation is rather different. He's been in the UK for 20 years. He's got 2 children, 4 and 2, with his partner who's Kenyan. She's been in the UK since 2003. In 2013, she was granted discretionary leave, which she would have been granted for 2.5 years and has subsequently extended. What should John do? Now, I know what you're going to say, Tahir. My first advice to John would be leave your number with our control room. I'd love to speak to you. You know, obviously, I'm thinking of those 2 young children and their rights. I'm thinking of this partner and their rights, and I'm thinking of a family unit that I'd like to see stay together. So, as we've said to our first caller, you've been here for 20 years, John. It wouldn't be fair for Tahir and I to ask you all the questions that would relate to your personal life on air. There's probably people watching, maybe people might recognise your voice. It's not something that our callers would be very, very happy to speak to you. But in the meanwhile, we can give you some general advice that is current as of today. Can I just remind our viewers that this is a live programme today, 14th of January 2020. I'm conscious that our programs are shared. I'm conscious that they're on YouTube and they're, you know, on Facebook and everywhere. The advice that Tahir and I give, or any of my guests give, that is legal, is valid on the day that the program is live. If you are watching this program at a later stage when it isn't live, in any event, we would suggest that you take legal advice.
Thank you, Ms. Puri. It reminds me of one of my cases which I recently dealt with. Similar situation where the person was living in the UK, she had discretionary leave to remain, and obviously if you have a discretionary leave to remain, you have no legal right to bring someone as a spouse to the UK, or you have no legal right to have a partner here in the UK and make an application for them, because your discretionary leave, because
you're here on discretion yourself,
is on a discretion of the Home Office. You have no right to be here, but you've got
somebody
a discretion.
Somewhere has used their discretion to allow you to stay here.
So it doesn't create a right for someone else to stay with you. But depending on the circumstances, such as Mr. John, because there are children involved and there's a family unit, the Home Office would have to make an exceptional decision to grant you stay to live here with the family. That you can be given leave to remain, and that it would be a discretionary leave to remain again, and that would be only for the period of the stay which your wife or your partner is permitted for. For instance, if she's going to be if she's living here for another maybe 2 years and she's got a discretionary leave which is ending in 2021, once you make an application, and if your application is successful, if you meet all the requirements and you provide all supporting documents and evidence, then you will be granted a leave to remain on a discretionary basis until your partner's leave to remain in the UK. So it is better, obviously, to make an application, but before making an application, consult a solicitor, get legal advice, because this application you don't want to be refused, Home Office to refuse the application. So it should be very good application, well prepared with all the supporting documents.
20 years is a very long time to cover.
Yeah.
And I know from...
Well, he's got an option of making
Yes.
application on the basis of 20 years long residence as well.
But even then, I think you should back it up with everything
But obviously,
he's lived through.
he's got a family here, he's got children here, so there are more chances of him to stay here on the basis of family
his
unit.
family life. Yeah.
So everything should be obviously put forward to the Home Office.
Yes. So if I was doing this application, John, I would incorporate everything you've done in the 20 years to establish your life here, including we forgot to ask you what age you came here. If you've come here at a very young age, you know, you've established your lifestyle here.
You may have spent more than half
Yeah,
of your year.
There's a lot of categories. Now, some of our viewers will think, I know initially I started talking about spouse applications, and some of our viewers will think, oh my God, we're talking about a lot of complicated law. Can I just tell our viewers about an article in The Guardian today, where the Law Commission has stated that immigration rules in the UK are overly complex and unworkable. And they have recommended simplifying them in order to save the government 70 million over the next decade. Now, since 2010, and I'm sure Tahir you'll agree with this, the article states the regulations have quadrupled in length, are comprehensively criticised for being poorly drafted, say the Law Commission, and the law needs updating. Now, when introduced in 1973, immigration rules ran to 40 pages. They now extend across 1,100 pages. Making them more prescriptive has made them less transparent. Now, Tahir, I know what you're smiling about, because in the 20 years, and yes, I know viewers that although we don't look old enough to be dealing with this sort of thing for 20 years, Tahir and I have been dealing with this sort of law solicitors for 20 years. Now, in the 20 years that we're looking at this, I can remember 20 years ago, Tahir, the rules were so much simpler than they are now. In fact, to be honest, in my opinion, they seem so much fairer.
Well, even procedure was quite simple.
Procedure, the
rules. The topic that you picked today,
yes.
Procedure, is
Yes.
quite complicated now.
Yes.
Many people come to us and ask for procedure, and I usually tell them, I said, well, you don't need to know the procedure, leave it with us, and you have peace of mind. We will deal with the procedure and requirements. So it's better, obviously, to put it through solicitor if you are putting an application to the Home Office, because the matter is, although they've made it simpler by making online application, but there are certain things.
Right, I'm going to butt in there. We have our caller on the line. Hello? Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Right now.
Hi, can I take your name, sir?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear. Can you say again, please?
Sorry, your name?
Hello. Yeah, can I talk to solicitor?
You're speaking. You're on air at the moment. You're on Know Your Rights, and you're speaking to two solicitors.
Okay. Madam, just want to ask. So basically, I just applied my mom's visa. She's belong from Pakistan, so they just refused 2 times. The reason they refused.
Sorry, can I just slow you down? You've applied for a visa for your mum to visit the UK.
Yes.
From where?
Yes.
From Pakistan.
From Islamabad, Pakistan.
From Islamabad, and she's been refused twice.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'm going to tell you why the reason is refused. They said they don't have enough ties relationship in the Pakistan.
Right. Okay.
And I just like to make another visit visa to bring my mom here to just visit me and my family. So is there any opportunity or something, if you can suggest, I can reapply or something, please?
Thank you for that. We'd be very interested in looking at that refusal if you want to leave your number with the control room. But what we can do is we understand why it's been refused, and we will try and explain to you the refusal. But before we explain that refusal, I'll take the question from our next caller so as not to clog up the lines. Hello?
Hello, I'm just inquiring, can I talk about something that's not related to visa?
Can we talk about something that's not related to visas?
Yeah.
Yes, you'll be very, very excited to hear that next week's Know Your Rights is a Know Your Rights special, and it's all about what happens when you get arrested. We seem to have had, and I'm quite happy if you've got other topics, if you'd want to leave the details with our control rooms, I'll be quite happy to control. What happens is the Know Your Rights programs are based on the level of questions that we get. Next week's program is all about what happens when you are being arrested. It's not just about what the police say to you, what do they have to inform you, which I know in previous you may have seen in previous programs, but what we will be talking about is what actually happens when you're sat in a police car and what happens when you get to the police station. Are there any other particular topics that you'd like me to cover?
Like housing and landlord rights.
Yes,
and tenant rights.
Yes, I'll be. If you keep watching the show, in February I'll be doing a program on Neighbourhood Watch, to how to make your neighbourhood more secure, and I'll be talking about landlord and tenant matters and how to let your house.
Okay.
But I'm very interested. Do leave me if you've got access to Facebook. Leave me details in the comments about what you'd like me to talk about.
Okay.
And thank you very much for joining in, and thank you for being so frank. Viewers, I've touched upon what next week's program's about. Next week I'll be joined by a criminal solicitor. I'll be joined by John Lee. We'll be talking about what happens to you when you get arrested. Hopefully most of you won't be arrested, but we all have these notions of what happens when you're arrested from watching both Hollywood, Bollywood, and Lollywood, or whatever you call films, Indian, Pakistani, English, American, whichever. People seem to have this concept you're handcuffed, thrown into the back of a van. They don't know what happens when you get to a police station. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be arrested, but if you tune into next week's program, you'll find out all about what happens. Is it true that you get one phone call, and what does a cell look like? But before we go back to our questions, and thank you, I'm really pleased that this viewer did call, because it's not all about questions, and I'd rather that people did call me and tell me what topics they want. And I am aware that we need topics on housing. I've got them, I'm going to have the landlords associations joining us. But before we move on, move on to our next caller. Hello.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Hi, yeah, I was saying, what it is, say if this boy now gets married from, abroad and everything, Pakistan, but his wife and his in-laws do him over and do his family over, and then obviously they tell him, go back to England, and he says no because he's supposed to stay here for a bit and that, and we already agreed before the marriage, and then they say, we don't care, we want you to go back, and then obviously they just want like obviously the boy to go back and for British passport or whatever, and then obviously when the truth hits them, basically when someone says, you only done this for the passport, and then they say, you know what, we don't want to know you no more, and then after 2 years later, hello? 2 years later, they want to know now, and then obviously now that even though the boy still wants to make a go of it, but even he knows that they're going to probably come here, his wife will come here, and she's going to probably do such as domestic violence or something like that. So in this situation, what should he do? I mean, his family is saying, like, get married again.
Let me just summarize the situation. Your friend or this person that you know has actually gone abroad and got married to somebody abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
has he called his wife over?
As the person who got married, because obviously it's on air anyway, so obviously we can't obviously go to too much details like you said before. But obviously the main thing is, we know that if she comes here, she'll do something dodgy, because she's done a few dodgy things there as well. But obviously the boy is still he's not listening, because his parents are saying, no, we want you to get married again. Rather get married because, look what they've done to us and everything, and that.
Let me just check.
He thinks, even though in his eye he knows that they're gonna do wrong, but obviously. If she comes here, then she might do something like, what should he do if he, say for instance, he ever does apply for the visa, something like that. What should he do? I mean, inform like the Home Office says, look, I've got suspicious that she might do something.
Right.
I'll leave that to you. And then,
but can I just check something? Can I just check something with you? What you're saying is, the boy that you know, is he from here or is he from abroad?
From British, from here.
He's British and he's married somebody from abroad.
Abroad, yeah.
And has he called her over?
People have said to him that, look, you know what, we're surprised that, you're waiting for a girl. I mean, I would have got married again. But the thing is, obviously, the guy comes from like a Khandani family, and obviously they come from like high Khandani family.
So, can I just ask you a question? Has his wife come to the UK?
Sorry?
Has his wife come to the UK?
Not yet. I mean, the wife has been causing issues at that time, and it's been 2-3 years. So obviously, he hasn't called her over.
So what is your question?
They started phoning, after 3 years later or something. But obviously, even though they've said a lot of bad things to him and his mom and that, they've, even though the guy come here and still says, look, okay, fine. I'm trying to make a go of it. I'm trying to make a go of it. So he's been phoning them. They didn't want to know. So then they used to tell him, stop phoning us, stop phoning us. Then after 3 years later, they start phoning. They said, oh, look, we want to know now. We want to know now.
So is your friend? Is he thinking of calling her?
Sorry?
Is this boy thinking of calling his wife?
He wants to call the wife, yeah, but the thing is, obviously, they're just playing games. And
who's playing games? The wife?
I think it's probably better if you just take the number and then speak.
Yeah. I think it sounds like a rather... right. No, I appreciate your call, but are you able to just summarise the question? Right. Obviously, we've got somebody who's got quite a lot of information there. We're trying to absorb the information and ask you questions.
It's like a second-hand information because he's
asking
talking
for his wife. It'd probably be a good idea if you can ask your friend to call in, or at least if you can leave your number and we'll call you and speak to the friend. We'd be happy to speak to him.
Because the program is only for an hour.
And there was a lot of information there.
A lot of information.
And I'm still trying to
figure out what the question
was because all I've understood is 2-3 years ago, somebody from the UK has married somebody abroad, and somebody is playing games, and he wants to call her over, but I don't know who's playing games and what the obstruction is. Now, all I can say is if the couple are married and they want to be together, then
there's a lot of sport available these days.
Yes.
If there is a sport available for fourth marriages, there is sport available for people who are making any decision or not able to make a decision under any influence. So we can obviously assist them with that as well. If obviously his friend wants to call his spouse to UK and he's willing to call her here, we need to find out and eliminate what the obstructions are. We can only help them once
we know exactly what the problem is.
Once we go through in detail with his friends what the problems are. So it's better obviously if we deal with them on an individual basis rather than on a general TV program
basis. But what I would recommend is if you have got a couple who want to be together, then as a friend it's very good that this caller has decided to call and do his best to help. Clearly he's tried his best through that phone call. It might be better if your friend could get first-hand advice. We'd be happy to speak to him and support him through the application if it's possible to do so. But we're going back to the complications in law that we were talking about. Nicholas Paynes QC, again I'm going back to the article in The Guardian today, where the Law Commission has said that the immigration rules in the UK are too complex. Now, Nicholas Paynes QC, the Public Law Commissioner, has said, for both applicants and caseworkers, the drafting of the immigration rules and frequent updates makes them too difficult to follow. This has resulted in mistakes that waste time and cost taxpayers money. Those are for legal aided matters. Now, by improving the drafting, restructuring the layout, and removing inconsistencies, our recommendations will make a real difference and save money, increase public in terms of saving public funds. Tara, in your experience, throw some light on it. In the fact, in the 20 years that I'm talking about, how have you found the changes in immigration law? Have you found them better, simpler, easier, harder?
I think if we talk about 20 years ago, in around 2000, that time, the immigration law was quite simple in terms of there were no complex. There was complexity, but if you're a common person, lay person, you know what the asylum is, you know what the visa application you're applying for. If you're living with someone, you're applying for a spouse visa, and then there are categories which were easy to link with application. But now the law is a bit complex for a common person to understand. I mean, as a lawyer, we do understand the terminology. I'm
going to put in Tahir because I'm conscious that I've got 2 questions that we need to cover before the end of the program. The first question is one that we have covered a few weeks ago, but it's been put forward to us because the person whose question it wasn't able to access our program at the time. She's a British national. She has recently met somebody who came here as the husband of to join a European citizen who's in the UK.
Yeah.
He's got leave to be in the UK till February. I think it's the 20th of February off the top of my head. And her question was...
So he came here as a spouse
of a European person.
And he's got 5-year residence card.
He wasn't given I don't think he was given the 5 years. I think he was given the...
6 months?
6
family
months,
permit?
Possibly, the family permit. He was here on the off the top of yes.
Because you only get either 5,
yes.
6
He was given the 6
months.
months. The 6 months run out on the 20th of February. She really likes him. The couple have decided to progress with the relationship and get married. Income, etc. isn't an issue, so we don't need to touch on the income requirements. But her question was, should he try and do something from within the UK before the 20th of February? Now, my advice was, from my understanding, he was married in December 2018. Now, according to the law of the UK, you cannot get divorced unless you've been married for a year, so he wouldn't be able to start his divorce proceedings till this December, and generally a divorce would take a few months.
So he was previously married?
He was previously married to a European citizen.
And he's not free to marry?
He's not free to marry.
Yeah. Okay. And on what basis he's here now?
He's still on the 6 months, which is running out
6 months
month.
as a partner?
As a, yes, on the year family permit.
Well, as an extended family member or a partner?
Partner.
So if he's here on a partner, then there is no other requirements for him to show, because he's already established that he's a partner.
No, but he's not. He doesn't want to stay on the basis of the partner of the person he came to be a partner of.
All right, so he's moved on with the relationship.
The relationship is broken down upon his arrival.
Yeah.
He's moved on, met somebody else who wants to legitimize the relationship and marry him.
Yeah.
She has considered entering into a religious marriage ceremony. Clearly she can't marry him legally because his divorce is going to take a couple of months to get through.
Well, there are two options for him, obviously. He can either go back to his country and then make an appropriate application after the divorce and get married again and then come back again. So that's obviously one option. Second option is that he can obviously make an application as a extended family member of which will come under the partner, not as a spouse, but partner, that he's living together with someone else now.
But he's not living with her.
So he needs to, obviously, if he's not living with her, then he's got no right to make any application then.
So he'd be better off going back, getting a divorce, making sure the divorce proceedings go through and applying through the proper channels, which if you stay tuned, you'll be watching out for. Now, very, very quickly, we've got a very few minutes. We've had another question from Anita. She's gone to Italy and married somebody in Italy. He's a Pakistani national who'd applied for asylum to stay in Italy. She thinks he was given some sort of refugee status for a limited time. She wants to know how she's going to call him over. This was a panic question because she thought he was going to be affected by Brexit. I've explained that he's a Pakistani national in Italy. He's not affected by, it's not as though she's married an Italian.
I think probably I had the same query as well.
Oh, yeah.
Similar, someone
calling
in my office to ask about the same thing.
Yes, I think we've probably been approached by the same person. Yeah. The question is, how is she going to call, is she able to call him over from Italy? Would he have to go back to Pakistan?
If he's got an asylum application pending, or if he has any sort of stay, I think if he made an application, he must have been given some sort of...
He's been given some sort of a document. I'm still waiting for the document to give us more details.
But as far as the application is concerned, he can still make an application from Italy to come and join her
as long as the application is pending.
Yeah.
And what if he's been given leave to... This was a second part of
the question.
There'll be two... If he's been given leave for a period of time, but it's not a very long time, then, you know, it wouldn't cover the time period of an application for entry clearance. Then should he go back to Pakistan and apply, or should he still try and apply from Italy?
I think she should apply from Italy.
Italy?
Yeah, because he is in Italy and he's made an application for asylum.
Yes.
There will be probably obstacles for him to go back to his country. That's the reason why he's claiming asylum. And under the European directive, if there are an obstacle for him to go back to his own country, that would categorize as exceptional circumstances. He can make an application to come and join here in the UK, the spouse, obviously with the either leave as on a spouse route, 5 years, or 10 route as a family life. So obviously we can cover that in next episode as well.
Viewers, I'm really sorry. I know I introduced the topic of this evening's program. We've not even been able to touch on it, but on the other hand, thank you to all of you who are watching. Thank you for all your questions. Feel free to join us on next time's program. I do hope to continue with this topic in a fortnight's time, but can I remind our viewers that next week we have a Know Your Rights special on what happens when you are arrested. Please stay tuned. Between 8 and 9 next week, I'll be joined by John Lee. We'll be talking about what happens, what your rights are when you're arrested. But in addition to that, what happens when you're in a police car, what happens at the police station, what sort of a cell are you put in. Maybe it'll kind of get rid of a lot of the misunderstandings that we all get from these films. So stay tuned. This program's also repeated at 12 noon on a Thursday, 4 o'clock on a Friday. It's live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. And if you go to our Facebook page, you will be able to watch most of this video. Thank you. Good night.
The contents of this program may not necessarily represent the views of Ummah Channel.
Thank you.